Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we transform complex source material into immediately actionable knowledge. Today, we are undertaking uh, a highly critical and intensely specialized mission.
That's right.
We are designing the intensive training course for a brand new organizational ombuds who will be serving a truly unique community.
Yeah, and this is really a special case. Our listener is taking on the role of the designated neutral within a complete ecosystem. We're talking about a Gaudiya Vaishnava temple
So
community.
this is way more
issues concerning those in power. Let's dig into that practical example we talked about, the budgetary influence scenario with the farm and the Goshala.
Okay, right. So the farm director, they oversee the cow protection program and all the labor, and they also control the budget for volunteer services and admin support for the farm.
Now, you as the ombuds, you need administrative support. You need a secure office away from the main temple complex, and you need some operational funds.
So if you report to the farm director for your budget, even for just office supplies,
Independence is compromised. The director could strategically delay payment for, say, professional development training, or they could stick you in a noisy office next to a workshop. They can affect your entire operation.
so the independence requirement is actually twofold. It's structural reporting to the top, and it's financial autonomy over your own resources.
Precisely. The training has to mandate that your office budget, even if it's small, and your staff selection must be managed without undue external influence.
So if you need a part-time assistant, for example, it has to be your decision, not the temple manager's.
Solely your decision. The integrity of your office hinges on the perception that you are not accountable to the people you might have to provide feedback about. This independence is what lets you act as that spiritual watchdog without fearing you'll lose your job or your resources.
And to make that official, the charter, the document that defines your whole existence, it has to explicitly lay out these CC principles, and it must be approved by the most senior leadership. That document is your shield.
It is the single most important document you have. If that charter says you report to the temple manager, the function fails before you even start. It must be a clear commitment to autonomy.
Okay, so moving from that structural shield of independence, let's go to confidentiality. This feels like the door that shields your sources.
It is.
In a community like this, where reputation, social standing, fear of being shunned socially or spiritually, these are existential threats.
Huge stress.
So confidentiality isn't a courtesy, it's the bedrock of trust. Without it, no one is ever going to walk through that door.
It is absolutely 100% non-negotiable. As the ombuds, you hold the identity of your visitors and everything they say is confidential. You have to take meticulous, reasonable measures to safeguard that privacy.
And that means resisting any pressure to disclose that information in a formal process, right? Even if you're asked or subpoenaed later on.
That's right. And this is where the operational demands on you are so unique, and they often run counter to, say, a compliance or HR role. Your office is strictly off the record.
Which means you keep absolutely no long-term records containing confidential information. That must feel counterintuitive to most people in an organizational role.
It is. But it's your operational defense against being forced to disclose. The training has to drill this home. Notes, phone message logs, appointment calendars, anything that could identify a visitor or the specific nature of their concern must be destroyed consistently.
Wait, let's really sit with that for a second. We're talking about getting a strict policy that dictates, for example, that your notes are turned into generalized trend data and then incinerated or securely shredded within, say, 48 hours of a meeting.
It is a deliberate act of institutional forgetting.
Wow.
Exactly. You don't want that paper trail to be accessible in discovery or a subpoena or even an internal audit. You can't be compelled to speak about what you heard if no record of it exists. And more than that, this practice proves to the community that their trust is being physically protected.
Okay, now let's talk about the exception, the critical razor-thin exception where confidentiality can be breached.
This is so important. The only exception is when, in your sole discretion as the ombuds, failing to disclose information could result in an imminent risk of serious harm.
And the emphasis over how service time is allocated.
Okay, that intimate shared history is a huge red flag. You have to rigorously apply the training point. Does this relationship compromise my impartiality, or does it even just create the appearance of partiality?
And even if you feel you can be objective, it's the perception in the community that really matters, right? If that junior worker sees you and the priest serving together all the time, your office is already tainted in their eyes.
Precisely. If the answer to that conflict check is yes, you have to decline involvement immediately to maintain integrity.
So what do you say in that moment?
You might have to say, because of my close personal relationship with the senior priest, I can't take on this matter directly. Doing so would damage the neutrality of the office for the entire community. However, and this is key, I can confidentially coach you, the junior worker, on strategies for effectification with your superior.
This means you also have to manage your own social life. You can't be seen as too close to any one clique, the farm clique, the management
Click,